What's going on, everybody? Halo Drama here, joined with Waverly Frontman.
Yo.
I know it's been a while, but we are back here today to do another episode of Random Clicks on EDHREC. For anybody that's not familiar, that's when we go to EDHREC and they have a random button, and it will pull up a random legendary creature, and Waverly and I just discussed how or what we would do to try to build around that legendary creature. Some are underwhelming, some are overwhelming, because we've had some that we talked about for a minute. We had some that as soon as we looked at it, we were like, that's trash. But we will see what happens. Are you ready, sir, for this first one?
I is.
Alright, click. And let's see what we got here. Oh, a black card. I'm black, so I like that. We have Joe. That's a J, right? Josu Vez. I wonder if he's
It's
in anything.
Liliana's brother.
I was just gonna say I wonder if that's any relation to Liliana. I don't keep up with the lore of the story, so. But Josu Vez, Lich Knight for 2 and 2 black. You get a 4/5 zombie knight. Has a kicker cost for 5 and a black. Has menace. When Josu enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, create 8 2/2 black zombie knight creature tokens with menace. Wow.
It costs 10 to cast it with the kicker, though.
Yeah, that's a little much, especially for the fact that it's just monocolored. Yeah, you'd have to run Mana Rocks, Dark Ritual. I know there's another one, used to be called a Mana Source, but they don't use that term anymore. Where I want to say that you pay a black and sack a creature or something, and you get 4 black mana. I can't remember the name of it. It was something like that. But off top with this one, me personally, I'm not saying that you necessarily have to go zombie tribal, but I'm going zombie tribal with this.
Yeah, I would
Especially,
agree.
especially with all the Lord effects out there, Lord of the Unreal, Death Baron, Diagraph Captain, things of that nature. You're just making this, and if you can get the kicker off, all those zombies just stronger, stronger, and stronger.
Yep.
So
And he's a 4/5 to start, so you get a decent base to start from as well.
right, even with just its base mana cost and not even the kicker, yeah, you do. Um, oh, and not to mention, what's more rough about this one is that if Josu dies a few times and you want to pay that kicker cost, that shit is gonna be super high.
Yeah.
I'd, I'd say
Yeah.
if Josu dies maybe once or twice, that kicker cost is completely out of the question. You or do you wait until you know you have enough mana for that? Granted, everybody knows what you're going to do if you don't cast this thing early.
Right.
But then again, knowing what somebody's gonna do does not necessarily mean that you can stop it when it's gonna be done.
Right.
Like I said, I've always hated those people. They see stuff and they'll see something like this. Even if somebody thought this was a high power level commander, they'll be like, oh, I can get rid of that with Path to Exile. Yeah, I know you can, but do you have a Path of Exile in your hand? Is the question. I'm aware that there are answers to everything. That does not necessarily mean that you have that answer in your hand at the time. But
Right.
anyway, I feel like I'm taking up a lot of this, and I apologize for that. Do you have any other takes on this?
No, I was kind of thinking if I would agree that you would probably cast this thing late game, but I could also see casting it early if you can get some of your lords out there, because you could probably kill someone with commander damage pretty quick, even without the kicker cost.
Yeah, it's very true.
And it's got menace to boot.
Yeah, so yeah, it's got the evasion there.
I would I would also say that you would want to run something like what was it called? Return the commander from the command zone to your hand, or whatever the command.
Oh,
Beacon,
Command
was it?
Beacon. Yeah, definitely you want to run Command Beacon with something like this. Let me pull it up for anybody who doesn't know what that is. Command Bacon. It's a non-basic land. Taps for colorless, but you can tap sack it and return your commander. Put your commander in your hand from the command zone. So yeah, you do have a good point. Yeah, I feel like this would be an auto include. So even if he did die early a couple times, if you're able to get this out of the board, you can put him back in your hand and possibly get that kicker cost off late game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can definitely dig that. I would definitely use this. Even if not as a commander, I have a zombie deck, a thorough zombie deck at that. I would run this in the 99 of my zombie deck because I'm not changing the commander at all.
Right.
But I could definitely see me running this in the 99 of the zombie deck that I have.
Yeah.
Because not only are there ways to recur creatures straight to the battlefield, there's some that say return them to your hand, and this could be one of the ones I return to my hand.
Indeed.
But yeah, unless you have any last takes on this, I think we're both in agreement pretty much. Zombie tribal with the different zombie lords to pump him up, make him stronger. Yeah, you're right. You could most definitely end up getting somebody killed with this. And for the fact that it has menace, and it's black, so you're running spot removal.
Right.
You're running spot removal. It's an all black deck, so you're going to be able to move stuff out of your way. But yeah, other than that, we can go to the rating. And as a commander, I would still give this. I would still give this at least a 7. Not, it'd probably be higher if that kicker cost wasn't so high. But it is what it is. But yeah, just for the fact that, like you said, you get those lords out, and this thing can mess around and kick ass fast. So, right. What about you?
I think I would probably go ahead and give this thing a 6, because on top of the high cost, it is mono-colored, so as a commander, not as much that you can do, but...
Right. Yeah?
But yeah, it's still pretty solid for a solid colored commander.
Yeah, I agree. Alright, on to the next one. Click. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's Progenitus. Costs double Wooburg, that is 2 of each color. Oh my. For a 10/10 legendary creature, Hydra Avatar. Has protection from everything. If Progenitus would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, reveal Progenitus and shuffle it into its owner's library. Granted, nobody's going to do that. They're just going to keep putting it back into the command zone. And don't get me wrong. I get that it has protection from everything, but that's kind of a vague statement, because protection from everything does not mean that it's indestructible. So if somebody still casts like a Wrath of God or a Day of Judgment, it's still going to get destroyed. Am I right or am I wrong about that?
You are correct.
Yeah, I thought so. So it's not necessarily protection from everything. I'd say protection from most. It's just say that. Protection from most. And in parentheses, except board wipes. Or something like that. But that is a high cost. But high cost with high reward. Because yeah, if you can get this on the battlefield, needless to say, it's going to be hard as hell to get rid of it unless you have a board wipe, and you can't block it because it has protection from everything. So it's unblockable. You can't do spot removal on it. Granted, you also the controller of it still can't pump it up or anything because it has protection from your instants and sorceries.
Right.
So he just is what he is. Don't get me wrong. I know there are things I want to say that could possibly cheat things onto him, or well, then again, you can in the deck itself, you can mess around and run things that say creatures you control get +1/+1.
Yeah.
Things like that to make them stronger. I know there's the one.
Like a glorious anthem or something like that.
Yep, exactly. I was thinking of that, or even more known one. Um, Remember, I used to run this in my standard human deck back in the Innistrad. That's Honor of the Pure. Yep, little things like this. White, one in a white enchantment. White creatures you control get +1/+1. Even if you ran this in the deck just solely for your commander, I think it would still be worth it because he is obviously a mixed breed of children there. And this would cover that. Another one that I thought of that would go good with this, seeing as it has protection from everything, which means it's unblockable, is, and I hope I am, yep, there it is, because I have this in my partner deck.
Yep.
Duelist Heritage, 2 and a white enchantment. Whenever one or more creatures attack, you may have, wait. I don't think you can use this. Because can you target it if it has protection from everything? I don't think you can.
I don't think you can either.
Okay, so scratch that. I guess we would just have to find something that just says attacking creatures.
Well, there's also the red angle. You could start taking extra combats.
Yeah, true. I can't think of one off the top of my head. Yes, I can. I just have to make sure I spell it right. This is the first one I thought of because I actually have this card. Yeah, stuff like Relentless Assault. He's got a very good point there. 2 and 2 red sorcery, untap all. Now, see, that says untap all. Protection has nothing to do with all spells, so you would still be able to untap your Progenitus. Untap all creatures that attack this turn. After this main phase, there's an additional combat phase, followed by an additional main phase. So, yeah, you are correct with a Lord effect on the board, like say that Honor of the Pure, and say if you were to cast something like this, you're going to kill at least one opponent in 2 shots.
Mm-hmm. You could throw that. I was gonna say you could throw that angel in there that does the same thing too. I can't think of what its name was. Boros.
Aurelia. Because I was
thinking Ariel for some reason.
Yeah, I used to have this card. Yeah, a card like this, Aurelia, the War Leader, 2 and double Boros. I'm just going to say it like that. 3/4 legendary creature angel, flying, vigilance, haste. Whenever Aurelia attacks for the first time each turn, untap all creatures you control. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. Yeah, stuff like that. I just thought of something very simple that can also go in a deck like this, and that is Sarah's Blessing. Something very simple, yet very effective. 1 and a white enchantment. Creatures you control have vigilance. Yeah, you get something like this on the board, any ground creatures are not going to attack you anymore. Oh, yeah, any ground flying, there's nothing you can really say about that. But ground creatures are going to stand still because they're not going to be able to get through this.
And green in there too. There's something that gives them reach.
Oh man, yeah. That's the thing about it. That's the thing about a deck like this. You can go all over the place with this.
Yeah.
Because I know there are things.
Go ahead. The archetypes.
I was just thinking that because Archetype of Imagination is the blue archetype that gives all your creatures flying.
Yeah.
What was that?
Finality was black.
That First Strike, Flying, Death Touch.
Yep.
Trample and Hexproof. Yep, that's what those were.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. All the archetypes would definitely be. I feel like would be auto includes in this.
Not that this thing needs hexproof, but
that's true. That's true. Not that it really needs Death Touch either, but why not?
Right.
Oh,
First Strike though.
Yeah, that First Strike though. Yeah. Well, then again, it doesn't need First Strike either. You can't block it.
True.
No, it's Progenitus. Wow, yeah, this one's pretty much all over the place. Yeah, a lot of different things you can do with this. A lot of different just color effects, like blue creatures get this, black creatures get that, green creatures get that. You can throw all that stuff in this deck.
Fervor.
Yeah, fervor. Creatures you control have haste. Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, not bad. Yeah, I feel like we'd be all over the place with this one. So let's go ahead and conclude this, because I feel like we could talk about this one for like a half hour alone.
Right.
Because there's so many different ways you could do this one. But let's go ahead and go for the rating then. That way we can get to the next one. You know the crazy thing, for as much as this cost, as far as mana wise goes, like part of me, a small part of me wants to still give it a 10. But I'll go down to a 9. 8.5. 8.5, 9. Somewhere in that region. Literally only because of the mana cost.
Yeah, I was literally thinking 9 because of the mana cost. But it's adaptable, so...
Right, because needless to say, you're running all the basic lands, dual lands, signets.
You throw all the gates in there.
Yeah, there you go. Colored mana rocks, like the signets. I actually just said that. Yeah, you're definitely running all that stuff. I know I would. Oh, listen. Why did I just think of the perfect card for this deck? Hold on now.
Maelstrom Wanderer.
Fist of Suns.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
3-cost artifact. You may pay Woolberg rather than pay the mana cost for spells that you cast. Period. This is an auto include, I feel. Straight up auto include. All day.
There are a few cards that kind of play with that too. Like I think there's a golem that creates exactly Wooburg or something like that.
I know what you're talking about, because you have to sacrifice it. You have to sacrifice it, and it gives you one of each color. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of the name of it. If anybody's out there watching and you're this far into the video, we appreciate it. If you can think of that of said creature, please comment it. So that way we can look it up and talk about it more. But all right, yeah, like I said, 8.5, 9 for me, only because of the mana cost. You know what? Because of a card like Fist of Suns, yeah, I'll go with a 9.
Yep.
But all right.
9 is where I'm at as well.
All right, on to the next one. You still got time?
Yeah.
All right, click them. Hey, I remember you.
Golgari Lichlord, yeah.
Yeah, Gerard, Golgari Lichlord, costs double Golgari. That's just how I'm going to say that. Is a 2/2 legendary zombie elf. Gerard gets +1/+1 for each creature card in your graveyard. You can pay 1 and Golgari sacrifice another creature. Each opponent loses life equal to the sacrificed creature's power, or you can sacrifice a swamp. Oh, sacrifice a swamp and forest. Return Gerard, whatever, from your graveyard to your hand. Another one that can be played around quite a few ways. Obviously, you want creature cards in your graveyard. So one of the cards that immediately comes to my mind is, you know, one of my oldies but goodies is Zombie Infestation. One on a black enchantment at instant speed. On anybody's turn, you can discard 2 cards. Why not those be creature cards? And create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. So at least with this, you're discarding cards, but you're at least getting some kind of value out of it. There are also, you know, the creatures that have abilities that you can use, and you're like, what is it? What's one of them? Like Unearth. I mean, you can use it when you want to, because if you unearth, I want to say you have to exile it afterwards.
Right on. I think I know what you're talking about, but yeah.
I know there are cards that do stuff like that, but obviously you want to get a bunch of... Only thing that, and one of the things that does suck about this, because depending on what cards you're using to get a bunch of creature cards in your graveyard, unfortunately, Jarrett doesn't have any kind of evasion.
Yeah.
He's just solid. I mean, granted, you. Oh, go ahead.
No,
Oh,
just agreeing.
no, but granted, you are running green, so I'd say you're definitely gonna have to run some stuff that gives stuff trample. Um, Rancor. Uh, what's the card? Primal. Is it Primal Rage? I think that's the name of that card.
Think so.
Oh, I spelled that wrong. Primal Rage. Yeah. Stuff like this. Creatures you control have trample. Just to give it some kind of evasion. I want to say there might be some black cards that give your creatures menace. Matter of fact, there's a zombie lord because it's in my zombie deck. I can't think of the name of him off the top of my head. He gives other zombies +1/+1, and zombies have menace. So that would be an include in here. And matter of fact, yeah, it is half black and it's a zombie, so you can run this. You can run the lords, Death Baron and Lord of the Undead and stuff like that. So yeah, those are coming.
On the other hand, he's also an elf, so you could go full elf tribal on this as well. Pump up all your elves, you know how powerful they get, and then sacrifice them to his ability.
True that. True that. And if for some reason and there's green in this deck, so you're running ramp. At least I would think that you're running ramp. At least I know I would. Any green deck that I fucking own has ramp cards in it. Because it's what green does. Because I was gonna say, worst case scenario, if he does die, you can let him go to your graveyard.
Yep. I would say a Sakura Tribe Elder would be a perfect one in this, no matter how you play it.
Yeah, true. Sakura. Yep, Sakura Tribe Elder. Always another oldie but goodie, one in the green for a 1/1 Snake Shimon. You can sack it at instant speed, search your library for a basic land card, put that card on the battlefield tapped. And obviously, like, the deck is half black, so you can mess around and recur this thing a bunch of times. And yeah, just keep using it over and over again. And yeah, you're right. You're right about, especially with that middle ability. Yeah, pump up those elves, something psychotic, and just get to sacking them and just dogging people. And it's each opponent loses that life. So you mess around and have a big enough creature, you can sack lethal for the whole table.
Yeah, because what was the one elf where it gets counters on it and then everything gets +1/+1 for that?
Jiraga, I want to say. Jiraga Tree Speaker? No, it's not that Jiraga. I thought it was a Jiraga.
As well.
Yes, it is. Warcaller, maybe? Yep, that's it. Is this the one you were talking about? It's the first one that came to mind. Yeah, one green, 1/1 elf warrior has multi-kicker of 1 and a green. Jiraga Warcaller enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter for each time it was kicked. Each or other elf creatures you control get +1/+1 for each +1/+1 counter on Jiraga Warcaller. And you know what card goes with this? A card I actually own and don't have any place to put it.
Doubling season.
So, well, I mean, yeah, but Immaculate Magistrate, 3 in a green, 2/2 Elf Shimon. Tap it and put a +1/+1 counter on target creature for each elf you control. You can either put those counters on your commander, or you can put those counters on Jiraga Warcaller, which that's what I used to do when I had an elf deck back in the day, because he'll pump up your entire board and you just keep putting all those counters on the Warcaller.
I would say putting him on the Warcaller would be a must, because putting him on Jared, he's still getting the plus if you put him on the Warcaller.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And yeah, like you said, elf tribal, there's going to be elves everywhere, depending on, how high you can get the sacrifice creature's power. Like I said, you can mess around and sack for lethal in one shot. So on that note, yeah, that's pretty nasty. So you know what? Now that I think about it, I feel like that's what I'm building around now. I'm not necessarily building around doing commander damage with Jared. I'm centering in that second ability to sack big stupid creatures as often as I can and just steadily drain my opponents.
Yep. Build it up and then
Yep.
destroy everybody at once.
Oh, and like I said, it's Golgari. So whatever the creature you sacked, you're gonna mess around and recur that creature back to the battlefield and do it all over again.
Got black in it too, so you could throw in a Soren Markov, make somebody's life total 10.
Oh, dude, you tripping. See? It's like I said, it's because of us that they make, it's because of people like us that they make formats, because we think and come up with stupid stuff like this. But, yeah, Soren Markov, I'm not going to read off all the abilities, that way we can get to the next one or the next video at some point. But his -3 is what Waverly is referring to. Target opponent's life total becomes 10, and yeah, depending on the creature you sacrifice, you're going to get one opponent, if not two, depending on what another opponent's life total is. But, yeah, on that, I'm liking it. We've had some pretty good bangers today. So on that note, we can go to rating. It sucks that he doesn't have any kind of evasion, but now I'm with you thinking of and you can mess around and do both. Zombie lords and elf lords.
Yep.
Everything's just gonna pump it. Oh, and you can run cards. Like, I'm sorry, I just thought of a really good one. You can run a card like Conspiracy. When it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Creature cards you own that aren't in play, creature spells you control, and creatures you control are the chosen type. Now, the only thing that's a downfall of this is with Conspiracy, unlike a lot of other cards that say they're the type in addition to their other type, when you play Conspiracy, all your stuff just becomes the one type.
Yeah.
So you have to play that with a little caution. But I know there are other cards.
I would honestly say if you're going with both lords, then I wouldn't run Conspiracy.
No,
you're either gonna lose all your elf boosts or you're gonna lose all your zombie boosts, and either way.
No, you have a good point there. And then I thought of this, because I actually have this in a couple of my decks. Maskwood Nexus, 4-drop artifact, so colorless. They can go in any deck. Creatures you control are every creature type. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. And you can also pay 3, tap, and create a 2/2 blue shapeshifter creature token with Changeling, which is also all creature types. So this you could run.
Yeah.
This you could run all day. And the thing that would make this better is your other solid elves and your other solid zombies, they're now all zombie elves.
Yep.
So they just all boost each other. And yeah, a card like this would be nasty. I know there are other cards that do stuff like that. But but you have a good point on the Conspiracy thing. But alright. As far as a rating, I like it. I would most definitely build a deck with this if I had one. And I had the cards to so me personally, I'm giving it an 8.
I'm gonna go with a 10. I would actually really like to build around this now that I'm looking at it.
I can dig it.
Have one.
I was gonna say I may have 2 at one point, but that was probably a minute ago, and
it came stock in the Marin deck.
And that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Either you or I had this in that deck, because I know we both had Marin decks at one point. Wouldn't mind having another one because Marin was awesome. But
also expensive as shit now.
Oh, I'm sure that it is. But all right. So there you go. We'll do that for now. That way this video is not too long. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's really fun just coming up with ideas for random legendary creatures. I'm so surprised that nobody else on YouTube is doing this. Not that I've seen personally anyway. So I hope you guys like it. Share, subscribe, comment your own ideas. and whatnot. Any kind of cards that we may have missed that go with particular legendary creatures that you saw, feel free to comment on the video and let us know. So until then, peace.
Later.